Yes, yes, yes. What is up, MCR family? Another weekly edition of the show live on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. It's going to be a good show today. Hold on, my computer froze up. Gary, do you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you just fine.
Okay, good. I don't know what my computer's doing right now. I'm trying to get off this screen. There we go. We're back. We're here. I'm still under the weather, I'll be honest, and I am getting Rona tested. So thoughts and prayers for me. I'm getting tested tomorrow.
Hey. Have you been keeping away from people?
I mean, am I hanging out? No, Gary. Okay. And to be honest, I haven't really been other than taking my kid to school and shit like that. I have to. No, I've been, especially compared to the beginning of the lockdown. Not even lockdown because we're not in lockdown anymore, which is probably an issue. But in March, April, May, I was going out quite a bit, to be honest, Gary. And I didn't get the Rona then. I maybe got it now, and I've been far more responsible. God damn it. But we have a jam-packed show. Crawford versus Brook is this weekend. Katie Taylor's fighting this weekend in a fight no one largely cares about. Let's just be honest about it. A lot of news Terence Crawford, top rank, most likely after tomorrow, will not be in a partnership. And I think that is a massive, massive piece of news in the boxing world. Deontay Wilder seeking mediation to force his trilogy fight with Tyson Fury. Going to obviously tap into that and dissect that. A ton of news in the boxing world. Virgil Ortiz, Gary's boy, signing to MTK. Yay, I guess. Yeah. Does that mean anything?
Maybe. We'll find out.
Who's he going to fight? Amir Khan?
It's a name, right? Let him blow Amir Khan out, get a name on his belt.
That's mean. But obviously, this is Mixed Combat Radio. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe. I am Matthew Hunter. And as I've already mentioned, the great Gary in Dallas. Gary, how are you, man?
Oh, I'm good. It's a great week for Texas boxing. San Antonio, Josh Franco this weekend. Then on the PBC card on FS1, we have my boy, world star, Henry Arredondo and Eddie the Hunter Ortiz, two undefeated prospects from San Antonio, both who are fighting other undefeated fighters, both who are going to win impressively. And then obviously we have Brook and Crawford. Either way, I'm a winner. If Crawford wins, he's done with his top rank contract and he gets a real fight. If Brook wins, I'm correct in my prediction from 2 years ago when I said Brook will once again hold a 147-pound belt. So either way, I win in this. That prediction is not looking good. It's like when I predicted in 2016 that Gary Johnson would win his home state and cause the broker convention, right? That no one would get to 270. And then he got 8% of the vote in his home state. So that didn't work. But
that's a great one. God damn it. Terry Flanagan, though, beating Progress is right up there. We got always go that
not a great prediction. I also picked Ndongo, but you were still on name redacted, I think, when that happened. So that
picked Ndongo versus Progress.
I picked Ndongo and Flanagan to beat him. I don't think I was alone in the Ndongo pick. Ndongo was good, and we didn't know how good Progress had won some fights on Showbox, and he looked good, but he had never fought anyone really at that point. We didn't know how good how good Progress was at that point.
We don't know how good Ndongo was either, really. Yeah, he outboxed Ricky Burns. Whoa.
Burns had a good career.
He did. He had a good career. He had an all right career. He's a top 5 or top 10 Scottish boxer of all time.
I wish Rob was here today. Yeah, where does he rank among the Scotsmen? It's got to be near the top.
Definitely top 10. I went to cause I've been to Scotland, right? I went to their National History Museum or whatever. Not National History, it'd just be History Museum. And they had a sports section of Scottish, sports stars, and they had all the boxers that have done anything. Wasn't a massive list.
No, it's not a real big country. There's not a massive. What's the population of Scotland? A couple million?
Yeah, it's not that big. It's mostly just grassy hills and sheep. To be quite honest, beautiful country, but it's not heavily populated for sure. Off the top 10 Scottish boxers of all time. Discussion, which is obviously a worthwhile discussion to have. Let's not kid ourselves here. But let's talk about Terence Crawford, Kell Brook. We're going to table the Crawford top rank issue for like after the X's and O's of the fight and how big the fight's going to be, all that stuff. Because that's a bigger issue, which I think we all kind of know where it's heading. So we don't need to address it right now. But in terms of the fight, I'll be honest, maybe it's the flu-addled Rona mind that I have. But we have Terence Crawford, a guy that has largely, I think, he hasn't blown the doors off of 147, let's say. I don't know how to really contextualize his welterweight run, because I think overall, like, he's beat everyone he's supposed to beat. Has he really beat anyone of note other than Jeff Horn? No.
No, the answer to that is no.
And there's been certain moments where he has struggled. The idea of a Kell Brook, who also I think has not impressed post his 2 losses to Triple G and Earl Spence, respectively. The idea of him coming in here and playing spoiler, I don't think is actually that far off, to be honest. Like, if somebody's out there saying that Kell Brook can come in here and beat Terence Crawford, win a decision or whatever it may, I'm not going to actually think that they're crazy, because there's enough of a track record of Kell Brook before those 2 losses to make him, to lead us to think that he could definitely be at least competitive in this fight, let's be honest. And there's enough of a, or lack thereof, of sort of passing the eye test for Crawford at 147 that leads me to think this fight's going to be actually far more competitive than a lot of the pundits, a lot of the media, a lot of the fans want to say it is. Like, there's a lot of people that want to think that, or are saying that Terence Crawford's going to blow away Kell Brook, move on to PBC. And I'll be honest, I don't think that's a foregone conclusion. I think the idea of Kell Brook coming in here, playing spoiler, hurting Crawford or winning a decision, again, is not an absurd take, to be honest. It's much better than thinking Ndongo is going to beat Prograis.
Is it though? Because who had Prograis beaten at that point? Like, go his resume, right? Like, he had nobody named, and Ndongo beat 2 world champions and unified half the gold at 140 pounds.
It didn't matter. Eye test, man. Eye test. Okay, like, because right now we're judging because Kell Brook has not fought anyone of note since Earl Spence and Triple G, right? And similar, Crawford has not fought really anyone of note at 147. And what Jeff Horn has done since their fight has progressively made that fight tarnished in a lot of people's eyes. Let's just be honest about it. Okay, so you can almost argue that all of his fights at this weight class have been kind of worthless to a degree, right? Except for Paycheck. So is it that absurd for 2 guys that in the last few years have not really proven much and have often kind of disappointed? Is it really absurd to think that this fight's going to be really competitive and that Kell Brook can win? Gary?
That last part, competitive, okay. Can Kell Brook win?
I mean, Meme Machine hurt him. Jose Benavidez.
I think
good work. Like, I don't know what we're talking about here.
If I don't agree with you with the Benavidez thing, but the Meme Machine thing, it was a terrible, terrible performance, and it was Crawford's last performance. Now, if Crawford is competitive and this fight is close, I think that has more to. I mean, if Brook is competitive in this fight is close. I think that has more to do with Crawford regressing and not being a great welterweight as good as he was at 35 and 40 than it has to do with Kell Brook being all the way back. Right, like the performance against Mean Machine was probably the worst performance we ever saw from Crawford. Right, I mean, I can't think of a worse performance than that. It was terrible. Mean Machine's not good, and I had Crawford down 3 rounds to none, and he had a shot that could have been ruled and maybe should have been ruled a knockdown. That could have put him down 4 points 3 rounds into a fight with Mean Machine. And he came back and he stopped him and he took care of business. But come on, this fight shouldn't be that tough, right? And I get it. Like, Whitaker was playing around with Diablo Sotardo when De La Hoya was in the crowd and that fight was already signed. And then that fight doesn't happen if Diablo Sotardo beats Pernell Whitaker. And then Pernell Whitaker, who got knocked down like 5 seconds into the fight, just put him away, right? What I'm saying is, if I don't know because he hasn't fought anybody good, really, right? Like Horn's the last guy he fought was any good, and maybe Horn wasn't as good as advertised. Benavidez I like, but Benavidez has never proven anything, right? And Khan's completely shot, and Mean Machine's no good. So, and Mean Machine gave him Mark for 3 rounds, right? And he hit him with plenty of big shots after that too, but Crawford was in the control for the most part after the first 3 rounds. I think if this fight's close, it's because Crawford's A, declining, and B, it's his 3rd weight class. He's not as dominant at this one as he was at the other 2. You know, I don't think if Brook wins, then he's going to be ready to beat Errol Spence or Keith Thurman or even Pacquiao. Although I don't think Pacquiao's going to fight any more good fighters anymore.
No, I pretty much agree with that assessment. Now, what I'm actually going to predict is I think Crawford's going to win a 7-5, 8-4 decision, to be quite honest. And this is going to be a fight that is competitive, where Cubrook clearly wins rounds. There's going to be points where he probably even outboxes Crawford in portions of rounds or portions of the fight. I don't think that's absurd to think. Crawford has, I mean, if we're being honest, Crawford's best wins are still probably Postal or Gamboa, right?
Yeah, Postal and Gamboa.
Cubrook's a level above those guys, even at this stage.
126 Gamboa was magic, but at 135 he wasn't nearly as good as he was at 126, which is the weight that Crawford beat him at. So yeah,
I just think that again, Crawford's going to actually be in a fight on Saturday, and actually going to be an entertaining fight. I'll be honest. I'm predicting an entertaining scrap. I think these guys' overall style is going to mesh well to where they are fighting at. They want to fight in the same range. They want to fight in the same real estate of the ring. And it's going to be whoever can get the shot off first, whoever can start sort of landing first, get momentum going, who can work off the jab better. And Cubrook, I think, can match him in certain aspects of that. And it's going to be quite interesting to see Crawford have to adapt again in a fight. And on top of it, obviously, this is the fight where it seems to be his, and this is what we can probably talk about now, his, how do we say it? His last show before he goes on to the free market, right? The free agency market, and really test his market value. He's going to be on ESPN, so we're going to test his viewership. Unfortunately, we can't test his attendance, right? Because this is in Vegas where there's no attendance.
It's the ESPN bubble, which is Vegas, yeah.
Yeah. So, how good is Crawford going to look before he heads into free agency? Gary, your thoughts, first your final prediction on the fight, and then obviously your thoughts on Crawford heading into free agency, it seems, since he is not getting along with Top Rank and they're reaching a breaking point, writes Mike Coppinger.
I was kind of agreeing with your take, although I don't think it goes all 12 rounds. I think it gets stopped because of Brook's eye. I think it gets stopped maybe around 10 in a competitive fight. I think a competitive fight where maybe it's 7-3 Crawford, but Brook is doing better. Is more competitive than you may think, even though he may not be winning that many rounds, but he's in there, he's landing, he's not there to collect a paycheck, like he's fighting to win and he's doing well in spots. But he's had both eyes broken, right? I don't mean to laugh, that's not funny. I think just the style and the accuracy and the nastiness on Crawford's punches are going to break down Brook's face, right? It's going to be like Lennox Lewis versus Vitaly Klitschko fight, where it's like, oh, this fight was close, but look at his face, we need to stop it. I think that's what we're looking at. I don't know that you can have. I think Brook's inactiveness is good because you can't break both orbital bones and then have a really long career after that, right? Because you get punched in the face and you're gonna injure that and you're gonna end up with serious eye injury. So I think a lot of the inactivity for Brook may have prolonged his career. I think it may have been a blessing in disguise. Is that funny?
No, Lord Jacob, you did laugh though, Gary. You did.
Because he broke both his eyes.
In back-to-back fights.
It's tough. Fighters who have that injury, it's usually a reoccurring injury, and I think it's like the Margarito fight with Pacquiao. It's right. It's like, oh, his eye is fine, and then 3 rounds into the thing was completely swollen. And it's like, but I think it's competitive. I think Brook has lots of success. I think it's really high level boxing. That Crawford gets the better of, but it's competitive. I think Crawford's going to have to go to his full arsenal. He's going to have to fight on the inside. He's going to have to fight on the outside. He's going to have to fight out of the conventional stance, and he's going to fight out of the southpaw stance. He's going to have to switch in and out, and he's going to have to dig deep to win these rounds. But I think he does, and I think probably around 9 or 10, like the eye becomes a major issue, and they had to stop it in what's a fairly competitive fight that is trending in the direction of Crawford.
Okay. Now, thoughts on Crawford, Top Rank, seemingly parting ways after this fight, as all signs point to that. We have often talks of Crawford speaking through a lawyer to Top Rank, which is always, I think, a massive red flag when your star fighter is not talking to you personally, only through lawyers, a la Canelo and Golden Boy. So it does seem like Terence Crawford is sooner rather than later about to have his exodus from Top Rank and ESPN. Gary, your thoughts?
Well, we just talked about his level of opponents that he fought under. Was the contract before or after the Horn fight? Was Horn the first fight of the contract, or was Benavidez? I don't remember.
I think he re-signed after that, to be honest.
So, I mean, either Benavidez, Khan, Mean Machine, Brook is not exactly murderer's row, right? I don't think that's what he was expecting when he signed the contract. So you can't. Again, I don't know what they're going to offer him. If they offer him $10 million a fight because ESPN can, because Mickey Mouse feels like anting up some money, then maybe he stays. I mean, it's all about the money. If they offer you $10 million a fight, you stay, right? I don't know what they're prepared to offer him. But it does seem like that this is going to be the end of his Top Rank run, which is not great for ESPN. And
by the way, quickly, he is making reportedly $4 million for this fight with Brook, who's making $2 million respectively.
It's nice paydays, right? Yeah, like, those are nice paydays.
Absolutely.
Remember when we had Garcia and Thurman not that long ago, which is a better fight between two champions? They both got $2 million. Mm-hmm. Right now, Brook's getting $2 million, Crawford's getting double that. So it's a nice payday. I don't think Top Rank. Well, they didn't really promote him properly. I don't think Top Rank did anything wrong. They just didn't do anything right either. Like they didn't get him the fights they should have. They just didn't,
Isn't that innately doing something wrong?
Okay, it's incompetence, not malfeasance, right? Like they didn't do anything to try to destroy his career or try to keep him down. They just didn't do a very good job at their job. You know what I'm saying? Like there was no malintent behind what they were doing. They weren't like.
I don't think anyone really is saying that like Bob Arum is like a boogeyman trying to destroy his star fighter's career. Bob Arum is just a dude that was promoting boxing in the 50s and in 2020. Like the sport has clearly moved way past him, and it's been like that for a while now. Most of my adult life, to be quite honest, if not my entire adult life, Bob Arum has been sort of the odd man out when it comes to promotion. And Todd DeBuff, I think, has not been any better. And in fact, it's probably more of an arrogant prick, to be honest. So I don't know about the future of Top Rank. So you're right that it is most likely just what was the phrase you used? It wasn't
incompetence.
Yeah, it's most likely just incompetence. But that's not in a way to sort of. I know you're not doing this, but I'm just reiterating this. It's not. That's not in any way to sort of give them any shielding here. Like Top Rank has routinely fucked up fighters' careers by incompetency. Look at Tifamo Lopez. That dude still has only 40,000 people following him on Twitter. I might be wrong on that number, but
and he was fortunate that Loma was on the same side of the street, because if he was on a different side of the street, that fight would have never gotten made.
Never.
If he was with PBC, if he was an Al Heyman guy, that fight would have never gotten made.
The zone, he would have never got that fight. Never. Okay. And the only reason he really got it is because Loma is not a massive superstar. Right. The idea of feeding him to the young guy wasn't as big of a concern, right? Because they're like, if Loma loses, then maybe we have this super young guy that can become something if he just magically becomes a star. Like that seems to be Top Rank's methodology here, right? Like we're just gonna get this guy that seems semi-charismatic, and we're just gonna hope that he magically becomes something. If I could do any work into making him a star, We're not going to get him on like ABC. We're not going to get him on the ESPN car wash circuit. We're not going to do any of that. No, he's just going to magically become a star through, I don't know, osmosis. I don't know what the fuck they're thinking at Top Rank. It's ridiculous.
But like, what's the ABC daytime show? I don't even know what it is. But why not have like, he's got a great personality. He's got a great story with his family, a great story with his fiance. Are they married now? I don't know if they're married. They're married now. He's got a great story with his wife. They met on an airplane that she was a flight attendant on, and like he's got a great story. Like, why don't you tell that and have him? If you could appeal to women, right? And he's obviously a good-looking guy. Then your ratings, like Oscar De La Hoya, have just gone through the roof, right? Like, I don't understand what they've done, right? I just don't understand how they market, the lack of marketing in Teofimo Lopez. Like, it blows my mind. He's got the personality, he's got the skills, he's got the style in the ring, right? Like, there's just star written all over him. Like, Eddie Ortiz, who fights on PBC on the FS1 card this week, said, like, in the Olympic trials, you could just see that kid was a star. Like, everyone was just kind of like eyes on him. And like everyone except for Bob Arum Top Rank, I suppose.
You know, it's interesting because, like, if you look at, let's say, Ryan Garcia, I know he's not a one-to-one analog to anyone because that he is like an internet sensation in a way, but he also did the right thing. Like, the kid was on like a actual TV show that was on like Amazon or some shit, right? About like a teenage boxer, right? Like, I don't know who got him that. I don't know if it was his promoter or his manager or his lawyer or his dad. I don't know. The guy's been on like GQ covers. The guy's been on tons of magazine and media outlets spreading his brand, right? Whatever his brand is. And it works, right? If you have a naturally charismatic person and you put them in the right spots, they will own those positions. They will own those moments and capitalize on those moments because of their natural demeanor. Teofimo Lopez is not 100% like Ryan Garcia in that way, but he's very fucking close. So the idea of like him not being in TV shows, not being on media drops, not being, again, in media circuits, going through, you know, talk shows, whatever it may be, how is he ever going to be a star? And Terrence Crawford, to his credit, tried that in a very minute way, right? He occasionally went on First Take. He went on Joe Rogan, right? He did a few things to try to put himself out there. But Crawford isn't that guy. And the reality of Terrence Crawford is that he is not, and again, this is the reality to just prize fighting. He is not the A side to a lot. When I mean a lot, I'm talking about the top five. A lot of the top five matchups for him at 147 pounds. He gets paid like the A side. And he has good TV viewership, of course, which he has proven time and time again. But that's a little bit of just being on ESPN as well. Like, you know, the Charlo's on Fox and they do, you know, around 3 million average.
Luis Ortiz just did over 1 million.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not like when you're on these platforms, you kind of expected to do a decent viewership at this point in time if you're one of the bigger names. But is he really the A side to Spence? No. Is he really the A side to Thurman? No. Is he really the A side to Danny Garcia? No. Is he really the A side to Sean Porter? Probably not still.
Right, okay. Like the other three fights, Thurman, it's kind of like a co-split A side. To Spence, he's the B side, and to Pacquiao, he's obviously the B side. Right now, he's a really good B side.
Dude, Thurman has done 10 times the pay-per-view buys. 10 times. Okay, it's not even a question.
Okay,
he's done better TV viewership by like 2 million.
He fought Pacquiao, and it did 600,000. Is that what it did?
About 500,000. Yeah.
If Crawford fought Pacquiao, what would it do? It'd do about the same number, right? You know what I'm saying? Like,
hey,
we don't know, but I'm just guessing. It does about 500,000, I would say. It's Crawford and Thurman star.
What did Pacquiao Broner do? They did less.
It did less. It did like 450. It did a little bit less. I think it did 450, and Thurman did about 5 and change.
I look this straight up now, guys.
Because I mean, Broner's a star, but like no one expected him to be competitive in that fight. I think a lot of people, if not the majority of people, picked Thurman to win the Pacquiao fight. Right? Like that was a really good fight. You know, Thurman. Yeah, Thurman sold it well when he was doing his impersonation of Pacquiao. It was a really good lead up to the fight. But
here's the deal: in terms of like actual like. Imagine a press tour for any of these matchups for Crawford, right? Is he the guy selling the fight?
No, and not a single one of them. And Danny Garcia would be tough because neither one of them can sell the fight.
Oh
Angel got to sell it.
Oh my god! But like that's the unfortunate reality with Terrence Crawford. And at no point did Top Rank and Bob Arum, I think, ever understand that reality. That they need to stop trying to angle Crawford as the A side for all of those matchups. Because that was never going to happen. And it's very clear when we talk about Crawford, I mean, specifically talking to Sean Porter and saying, I don't want to take that fight. When, I mean, I don't know if you heard about this because this was in a lot of the news lately because of, Crawford doing news for the fight coming up tomorrow. Talking about the Thurman negotiation, right? How Bob Arum, Top Rank, received one offer from Keith Thurman and he wanted $10 million. Thurman wanted $10 million. Top Rank said, he's crazy. We're not going to negotiate with him. The fight was never made.
But that's a way, like 10 million. He knows he's not getting 10 million.
No.
Beginning of negotiations.
But understand that Bob Arum, Top Rank, I mean, received one offer, said, that's crazy. Went to Crawford and said, we're not making the fight. We're moving on. That is malpractice.
That is
promotional malpractice. Okay. So, and it's also not correctly understanding Crawford's position here. Okay. They should have went after that Thurman fight religiously, to be honest, especially after the Pacquiao fight where he just had this huge pay-per-view audience. Absolutely, you should have went and fought Thurman.
In a really entertaining fight. Like, it was a really fan-friendly fight. Like, it was a really good fight to watch. So everyone left that fight feeling like they got their money's worth, if that's possible, on an $80 pay-per-view, whatever it is, right? But like, my question was Crawford Thurman pay-per-view. It's two questions. How many buys do you think it's generate, and what do you think is a reasonable guarantee to both fighters?
By the way, quickly, Pacquiao Broner did around 400,000 pay-per-view.
400,000? Okay.
Yes. I think Thurman Crawford would be around there.
Especially, I agree.
Especially after the Pacquiao fight. Crawford has a sizable audience that watches him every time too. So, he has his own fans. So he would bring some to the table. And I do think Thurman would get like that version of Crawford that we know is there out. Like, we would see Crawford come out of his shell more because Thurman would be in his ear. Right? It would be a really entertaining press tour. It'd be really entertaining.
I don't know, because Benavidez was in his ear and he never really said anything except he swung at him at the press conference, almost almost broke his hand in Benavidez's face.
First off, that was hype. Let's be honest, that was awesome.
It was, but like.
Secondly, Benavidez is not Thurman in terms of relevance, in terms of legacy. Right? It would be Crawford's biggest fight to date if he fought Thurman instead of Brook right now, right? And that alone, and you have Thurman in your ear talking mad shit because that's what Thurman does. Oh my God, Crawford would come out in more ways, and I guarantee you, he would swing at Thurman. That would happen.
You can't do that because you could break your hand, you could break your face, you could get arrested, you could get this fight canceled because you act.
Dude, I don't care, man. It's all hype. It's all hype.
I just don't know that there's any like getting him out of his shell. Like, Crawford just seems to me like the guy that's a really nice guy until he's not anymore, right? Like, he's your friend who just doesn't show any emotion until you've crossed the line, and then it's just over. Like, and then it's no prisoners. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
but imagine like a 24/7 all access style, where like a little bit of a press tour, like just a 2-city press tour. That's all we need, right? Like LA and New York, right? And imagine like again, Thurman in his ear, Spence in his ear. Oh my God, it'd be awesome. Crawford would come out more. He would have to talk more at those press conferences, okay? But regardless, we're automatically talking about him with PBC fighters. Are we assuming he goes like solo promotional route, similar to like Canelo, and signs like an advisory deal or managerial deal with Al Heyman, and we get those matchups, or do we see him signing to like Matchroom, Golden Boy? I mean, is it only look? It's a free agent market right now, in a sense. There's other players here, but there's really only one other legitimate player in this market, and that's who he's going to. Is that kind of what we're thinking?
So that would make the most sense, right? Like it's the logical answer, which means it's certainly not going to happen, right? Some weird thing's going to happen. He's going to sign a contract because, like, Crawford looks at it, I think, the same way I do is, well, I'm just going to go where I do my job. My job is the same wherever I go. So whoever gives me one dime more than anyone else is where I sign, because it shows that you value me more than they do, and it's more money in my pocket. So I'm just going to go where whoever pays me the most money, right? Like, that's it. There's no more discussion. So, I mean, is that Eddie Hearn? I don't know. I mean, it'd be weird if it was Eddie Hearn, right? But they don't have the Canelo on the books anymore. The Zone doesn't.
Eddie never did.
Eddie never did. He was wise in that.
He's still trying. We're going to talk about that in a second with Canelo Smith, man. He is still trying.
But what if the Zone? What if he signed a contract straight with the Zone, where he just fights on the Zone? I mean, that's not a contract with Eddie, but it more or less is. You know what I'm saying? It's like Canelo's like, you're gonna fight all my fighters, then good, let's do that, right? The logical next step is obviously PBC, right? At this stage, like if I was Canelo, I'd only sign 1 or 2 fight deals. If I was Crawford, I wouldn't do that because he doesn't have as much left in the tank as Canelo does, right? Crawford could lose, look bad, and then he's not exactly a personality. He doesn't actually sell his fight. So if he loses, he tanks. Where Canelo, if he loses, it's no big deal, right? As long as he fights competitively, right? He'll be a star. He's still a star. Crawford's stardom is built in his skills and that he's kind of the perfect boxer. If he's not, there's not a whole lot of appeal left in Crawford. So if I was Crawford, I would look to sign one last long-term deal. Like I don't like Canelo sign 1 or 2 fight deals, maximize every last penny. Crawford, I would take the security if I were him. I would take the security of whoever's going to offer me the most money long-term. Does that make sense?
I don't think he needs to, though, to be honest. I mean, he might sign like a long-term deal with Al Heyman, but like it's not like a promotional deal, right? So like the structure of it's very different. I could see that, but the idea of like these top guys signing long-term promotional contracts makes no sense to me. And in today's age, where these promoters are often not the ones getting you the right connections, then like why does it matter?
I agree.
It seems more and more that like, and it's not. And to be honest, this has always been the case to a degree, right? But I feel like it's more evident now that there are certain high-level managers that have far more power and reach than these promoters, right? It feels like these promoters have increasingly become smaller and smaller in operation size and overall revenue intake. It does seem like we're in an age where like the fighters are collecting so much of the percentage of the revenue share that they can just, especially at the very top level, right? They can just have their own internal camps or their own personal manager that is getting them these connections to promote their brand and their individual companies that they all have, right? All these guys have their own LLCs, I'm assuming. So I just don't see the benefit to it. Like security, like you're Terrence Crawford. Like he's going to be around for the next however long he wants to be around. Like that's the reality.
He's going to be around, and he'll always be a draw to a degree. I just don't know like that he's got staying power as a huge, massive sensation draw that does 2-3 million views because he's not.
He doesn't need to be that. He doesn't need to be that, especially if you go the PBC route. Just be the B side, where you be the Miguel Cotto. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of value in being the Miguel Cotto to the Pacquiaos and Mayweathers of this generation. That's just the reality to it, in my opinion. And not that I'm saying that Crawford is not better than these guys in terms of like accomplishments or whatever. Like, I'm not saying that. But in terms of drawing power, it does seem like there's a few guys that have bigger drawing power than he does. But the combination of all these matchups will produce the most money for all of them individually. Right?
Yeah.
So Crawford, play the B side to Spence, Thurman, Danny Garcia, Sean Porter. You only have to win one of those to be legitimate in this conversation, right? And he's going to win one of those fights, probably Danny Garcia at the very least. Right? So like it's not like the idea like we think Crawford's going to lose all these matchups. I don't think any of us think that.
No,
right?
Absolutely not.
There's a potential for that. I don't think Crawford's as great as some people want to claim him to be, but that's beside the point. I think he absolutely can beat one of these guys, if not a couple of them, on any given night, and he most likely will. So he's going to collect massive amounts of money playing the B side, playing that, playing the Whitaker to the Oscars, playing the Whitaker to the Chavez. Like, you can be that. Like, there's money in that. It only hurts him when he's fighting tune-ups, right? Because he himself doesn't have as much of a draw as these others. But then again, in today's age, if he's fighting on Fox, that issue is largely negated. He's still going to get good viewership. He's still going to, especially if if we're thinking about like 2 or 3 years down the line, you're going to get sizable attendance again because he has always done decent gate revenue, regardless of what mark he's in, but especially obviously in Nebraska. So he's fine. I think security is probably in his. I would advise him, don't worry about security. Your brand at this point, your value at this point is enough security. Let's get you the right matchups to increase your overall value. So signing with Eddie, signing with Oscar, signing with, K2, like none of that gets you the right matchups to increase your value, increase your capital. So why do that? And the way I understand it is that these guys at PBC often, they can work with local promoters like, Tanguson Promotions or whoever it may be. But if you're the big guys, you have your own promotional company, which you can build and create and sort of generate revenue off of yourself. So, Terrence Crawford can absolutely create, Bud Promotions. We've talked about this before. And work on it being also, a flagship for him fighting, but a regional power. Like, you don't think Crawford can have some pull in like the Midwest and like Nebraska and Iowa and all that? Like, absolutely flood that market with talent, with fights, with local regional fights and club shows, right? He could do that and make money off of that. And have like, little 3-fight advisory deals with Al Heyman. That's what I would do. Like, keep it very minimal. And work on just trying to get these key matchups that you need for your legacy. Everything else will, I think, work off of that, to be quite honest. But I'm of the mindset that he is going to be with Al Heyman and PBC in the next, few months, like however long it takes to get after this fight and get through whatever process with Top Rank and then get with Al Heyman. That is 100% going to happen, because why else would you seek to get away from Top Rank? Everything else would just be even a worse situation. If he goes to DAZN with Eddie Hearn or Oscar, he's in a worse position than he is now. Like, a fundamentally worse position, regardless of the money they can throw at him, which I don't think is going to be much when they wanted to cut Canelo's purse by half, when they cut their MLB contract. I don't think there's money floating around anymore for DAZN. So go over to the entity and the conglomerate that is definitely being ultra successful right now in your division. And guess what? You will get paid handsomely as well. Crawford is going to get paid a lot in those pay-per-views with Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, Thurman, and Spence. That's just the reality. And also, if you want to go fight Mikey Garcia on DAZN for one fight, why? Mikey only has one fight left with DAZN. He's coming back to PBC too. Just to be honest about it. It's okay.
Right. Mikey Garcia and Virgil Ortiz would be the names that he could fight on
DAZN.
Mm-hmm. Those aren't the legacy fights, especially when he loses to Virgil Ortiz. I mean, wouldn't you rather lose to Errol Spence for your legacy than to lose to Virgil Ortiz? But I don't know. You're probably right. Like, DAZN he probably missed the money on the boat on DAZN handing out money like it's Pez. Like, he probably missed the boat on that. That ship has probably sailed. But I don't know. I mean, maybe what if they offered him a ridiculous? Maybe what if they offered him a Triple G type contract, right?
What, equity in a company that's failing?
They offered that to Canelo too. Canelo's like, Hard pass.
Hey, I'll be honest. There's been a lot of, I'm not going to say reporting, but it's been just a lot of chatter in the media sphere about DAZN restructuring that Triple G contract because they're restructuring the Golden Boy contract.
Yeah.
Right. So I just don't see it. I think, look, DAZN has a timer on when it's going to collapse, or at least DAZN US has a timer on when it's going to collapse. Those names we talk about that, are sort of stuck there, they're not going to be there that much longer. Right? That's just the reality too. Like Virgil Ortiz is going to be fighting on ESPN or something like that soon.
PBC, I would imagine. Because that's where 147 is. Oh, you could. Oh, yeah.
It's Golden Boy, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Golden Boy is not going to do that. Golden Boy, I would think, would get back with ESPN. Why not?
Probably.
I don't know why they left. To be quite honest, it made no sense to me. Other than money, right? They obviously swindled DAZN heavily.
Well, that was part of the Canelo contract, right? Like they went over to DAZN when
Canelo never had a individual contract with DAZN. It was structured through the Golden Boy contract.
Yeah,
I understand, right? So with the Canelo part of that Golden Boy contract now out, they want to restructure the whole thing. So Golden Boy was able to get those high guarantees for their other shows because Canelo was attached to the overall contract. So Golden Boy, again, swindled DAZN. So I get why they left ESPN and Facebook, of course. But holy fuck, man, DAZN's been a disaster. Let's just be honest about it. Let's talk about the rest of the card, though, Gary, because we have other stuff to get to. We've already been talking about Crawford and Brook and Crawford and Top Rank for 40 minutes now. Let's move on. Joshua Franco is fighting Andrew Maloney in a rematch from their fight from August.
That sounds about right. August, September, something like that. Yeah, sure. Like that. Yeah.
July. Who gives a fuck?
July, maybe.
I think this fight's going to go probably the same way, to be honest. Where Franco is going to have a slow start, but eventually just start piling up combinations and pressure, and he's going to be the heavier hitter, and Maloney is going to be durable, meaning he's going to take a lot of shots, but Maloney is going to get the dub again. Franco's going to get the dub again. Gary, your thoughts on your man, Joshua Franco?
Don't start slow. This has become such a trend with him is starting slow. Come out of the gate and don't fall behind. Don't get behind 3 rounds to nothing and put yourself in a hole, because they tried to take that fight from him last time. He won that by 1 point on the cards, on all 3 cards. That was the knockdown. Mm-hmm. Don't get behind on the cards. I know he just starts slow, but you got to come out. He came out quick.
Technically, 1 card, surprisingly, Julie Lederman had 2 point advantage. So
2 point advantage. Okay.
There you go.
Don't start slow. Come out fast. He started off quick once in the 3 Negrete fights, the middle fight, and he won that fight. The other 2, he started slow, got behind, and had to settle for a draw. In the Burgos fight, that was on the Munguia Spike O'Sullivan. Like, Matt texted me 2 or 3 rounds. He's like, what's so good about this guy? He's like, he does this every time. He'll get cooking. And then he knocked him out. Don't start slow. Come out and establish yourself right away. And I think if he starts quick, he'll get him out late. Right? So just do what you normally do in the 4th round in the 1st round. And just start from there. Like, he showed that he can start quick in the 2nd Negrete fight, the fight that he won. So just do that. Just start quick. And this shouldn't be a problem. Maloney's a tough guy. He'll be durable. He'll be there. But Franco's a more complete fighter. He's a bigger hitter. He's better. He checks all the boxes where Maloney doesn't. So just don't fall behind and he'll be fine.
I see Heath in the chat. What up, Heath? Saying you guys talked Ioka Tanaka yet. No, we have not talked Ioka Tanaka, which I don't believe is even up on my board. Gary, you didn't send me that link. You fucking...
Did we not talk about that last time?
No, because it wasn't official.
Okay. Shoot.
So I'll pull up in a second as well. So we'll get to that. Thank you for reminding me, Heath. As well, somebody talking about Kell Brook. Jay talking about Kell Brook going to pull off the upset of the year. I did kind of lay out the framework for why that thought isn't too crazy early in the show, Jay. So go check that out. No, I think Franco's going to have he might start slow like he does, but I think he'll start fast in the sense like he'll pick up in round 3 instead of like round 4 or 5. He still give the first 2 rounds off, and that'll largely just be due to the feel-out process that is common in the first round or 2. Maloney, I think, does have some decent lateral movement, which I think Franco would take a round or 2 to adjust to, of course. But then the second he adjusts to that, he's on him and he's throwing combinations, going to the body. And I was really surprised with the power of his shots with Maloney. That was quite impressive to me. He's never been the power hitter, so to speak, but he seemed to have really solid sort of effect on Andrew Maloney. PSK in the chat saying, "What's up, all? What's up, PSK? What's up, Dwayne in the chat as well? Everyone in the chat, hope everyone's having a great day, a great evening, wherever you are. And I'm still doing this on the flu. I got the Rona. Maybe. I don't know. Getting tested tomorrow.
It is also like cold and flu season too.
It is. Yeah. So I take care of my 82-year-old grandma, right? Which I talk about on the show sometimes. She's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. If I have the Rona and she's somehow immune to it, I'm not going to become like a COVID denier because those people are fucking stupid. But holy shit, I just have the worst luck imaginable. Like, I'll be upset at God for like a week or so. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Oh, did I freeze up? Oh, there we go. I'm back. Shout out to my computer being weird. Hold on, Gary. I'm going to refresh ourselves really fast. Okay, Gary, you refresh yourself too, okay?
Yeah.
We're just going to do that. Be right back, everyone. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. Gary, hello.
Hello. And Dan Rodriguez was supposed to fight Josh Franco's little brother, the junior flyweight, and he's not on the card now. I don't know what happened to his fight.
Could be COVID, could be a lot of things, especially in this era, man. So many fights are falling out, so I'm not too surprised by that. And honestly, there's not a great card either. Like,
you got Josh Greer on the card too, right? That's the other.
Yeah, and fighting in a tune-up, which he needs after that loss, right? So that's not too surprising. That Duke Reagan guy, did you mention him before?
Yeah, he was supposed to go to the Olympics, but then he opted out because and then he signed with Top Rank. He's really good. He's only had 3 fights now.
2.
He's 2-0. Okay, yeah. He's really good. I mean, obviously he's fighting guys that you'd expect him to fight when he's 2-0, 3-0.
He's fighting like undefeated fighters, like 1-0, fellow 1-0 fighter. I'm okay with those matchups, to be quite honest. Especially if you're just, if you're not avoiding, let's say, if you're deciding not to go down the amateur route and go pro early, and you want to take a bunch of fights with other people that have, 1 or 2 fights, I think that's completely okay, to be quite honest. But other than that I feel like the card's pretty thin, to be quite honest, and that's probably due to Crawford's $4 million paycheck at the top. Over in the UK on Saturday as well via DAZN and Sky Sports, of course, Katie Taylor fighting Miriam Gutierrez, Terry Harper versus Katharina Thanderas. I hope I pronounced that right. Both undefeated fighters there. What else? John Doherty on the card. And that's about it from people that I know. John Doherty versus Jack Cullen. That's not a bad fight. That's not a bad regional fight right there. Gary, any thoughts on Katie Taylor, Terry Harper, anything like that?
No. I mean, that's a good fight, obviously. You're taking Katie Taylor, I imagine, right? Of course. Okay. Yeah.
I'm excited for when we see Taylor versus like McCaskill. Or like Taylor versus Brackus if Brackus beats McCaskill in a rematch. That's what I want. I just want super fights. Give me super fights. I'll be that casual fan.
I just want super fights. I mean, yeah, we all want super fights. I mean,
like Miriam Gutierrez is an undefeated fighter. Like, I don't mean to disparage her in any way. Like, she might be competitive. Or she might be worthy of this fight. I don't know. I don't know her too cross. And maybe I have seen her fight and I just forget.
Which is possible too, because me and Matt forget a lot of things.
That and flu brain. I got the Rona. That's my excuse for everything right now. Moving on though, because we don't need to labor on that. Let's be honest. Any other fights this weekend? I think that's it, right?
There's the PBC card, which ESPN didn't list any of the names on their schedule, but it's a bunch of prospects fighting. It's on FS1.
Oh, that's why I didn't see it or care.
Yeah.
Who's fighting on it?
Amilcar Vidal is fighting Eddie Ortiz in the main event. And then I have it right now on Box Records on FS1. My boy Henry Arredondo is fighting Eris Carrera. And then somebody named Desmond Lyons is fighting Diego Elizondo. And then the cruiserweight from Nigeria, F.A. Apache. Is that how you say his name?
Yeah, I think so.
He's fighting Joe Jones.
Can you imagine me named Joe Jones?
It's not.
It's not ideal. I apologize for that person. Mostly for hating. PSK saying, hasn't Taylor already fought McCaskill? Yes, and it was a very close fight. I would love to see the rematch at 147. Maybe that would be how. I think Taylor's ultimately going to lose just to pressure. Like someone that can bully her, someone that can pressure her, someone that isn't fazed by any of her power or anything like that. That's when it's going to change. And she's already honestly lost twice. Let's just be honest about it.
I think most people agree that I think she did too. I scored both fights the other way, but the second fight there was a wide array of scorecards on that, which I thought it was more convincing. The second fight than the first fight. Or the first fight I thought Pursoon won. The second one I was pretty confident they won, but the announcer said she lost, and then the judges said she lost. Why? I was like, I didn't see it that way. I know you and Santiago did. Santiago had a real wide, didn't he? For Pursoon?
The second fight was worse than the first in terms of being a robbery.
That's how I felt too, but I feel like there's more people who thought Taylor deserved a second. And I'm like, I didn't see the fight that way.
I got a nasty spider bite on my hand. Fucking itches like a motherfucker. Sorry. Just if you see me itching my hand or being annoyed by something, it's not what Gary says, even though Gary annoys me all the time. Because my hand itches like a bitch right now. Anyway, Liam Ross in the chat wants to reiterate or go back into an argument we had, I think, on the last show about PBC and freezing out fighters, saying, not sure how I feel about Bud signing for PBC, as it's a win for the mentality of freezing out fighters not in your stable. How can people, and Liam, you've been listening to the show for a very long time. You should not be peddling this talking point anymore. How are people still peddling this talking point, Gary? We've had Sean Porter and Crawford on record saying they talked. And Porter said, I will fight you on your network. And Crawford's like, nope, we have other plans. How can people still say this when Thurman is the one that initiated negotiation process with Top Rank and Crawford, and Top Rank said his first offer was crazy and we're not going to go down that route? How can we keep saying that it's PBC freezing out Crawford? How? When we have on record evidence from both sides stating that that's not the case, that's not reality. It's not even saying that it's maybe a discussion. No, it is without a doubt empirically fact that PBC has not frozen out Crawford. That's just a lie.
Right. They may not have negotiated a Spence fight, but they've offered him. They were fine with Porter and Thurman fighting him over there.
And let's be honest, all of us here, all of us, meaning us hosts, listeners, we were all in a consensus that these two entities, meaning PBC and Top Rank, should work towards setting up these fights. If that means Crawford has to fight a Porter or an Ugas or Danny on ESPN pay-per-view, then so be it. But if that gets us towards the Spence fight, then we're all for it, right? We were all in a consensus that was the right path. And then Top Rank said, nah, fam, we're not going to do that. We're good. We good. So again, fans and media have to stop pointing the finger at PBC freezing out Crawford when Crawford is on record stating he did not want those fights. Okay? When he's on record saying that Top Rank, specifically Top Rank, avoided negotiation for some of those fights. We can't say that anymore. We have to stop. Evidence right now is being thrown out there time and time again with every Crawford interview this week. That is not reality. That it seems more and more the case that Top Rank has either misled, mispromoted, whatever you want to call it when it comes to Crawford's career. That is what is clear as day. Okay. When you have your star fighter in receiving an offer from a guy that just did 500,000 pay-per-views with Manny Pacquiao, who's a top 5 guy who's more actually accomplished in this current division than Crawford. Okay. Has better names on his resume. Has a better legacy. Let's be honest. Okay. If that promoter came to you and said, no, we're not going to negotiate with him because he's crazy, because he wants too much money, and didn't want to send a counteroffer, then it's not PBC. It's Top Rank. And it's been clear since day one, to be honest, that it was Top Rank. But I am just so happy. I am so happy that we now have a mountain of evidence for that. And Crawford is now admitting that's the case as well. Sorry, we can't avoid that. For those fans out there that want to point the finger at PBC as being the boogeyman for why the sport is the way it is, I'm telling you, that is some bullshit propaganda. Okay, if you want to complain about fights not getting made, complain about the structures and institutions that are designed to make cross-promotional fights and how those institutions fail every goddamn day in this sport. That should be who you should be pointing the finger at. And those institutions are sanctioning bodies, not promoters. Okay? If you want to fundamentally fix how our sport runs and how we get these cross-promotional fights, going and yelling at a promoter on social media is not going to do it. Go yell at a sanctioning body. That's better, at least. At least you're yelling at the right person this time. Right? Mm-hmm. Go yell at Paco and whatever his name is for the WBA or the WBO. Go yell at Mauricio Suleiman. Go yell at those people. And guess what? They respond too. So go yell at those motherfuckers. They deserve all your ire, all of your attention, because they are the institutions that are, in essence, by their design, are supposed to make cross-promotional fights to promote the sport. Promoters, that's not their job. Advisors and managers, that's not their job. So let's focus on the institutions that is their job, and they are failing at their job. Gary, I don't know if you want to talk about this at all. Sorry, I had to rant about that.
No, that was well said. That was well said.
Any thoughts, or you want me to just move on?
No, I think you hit it all on the nail on the head. I would just be repeating what you said.
Well, thank you for repeating me, Gary. I always appreciate it. Moving on, then, if you want, let's talk about Canelo Alvarez not fighting Caleb Plant. It looks like not enough time to get this pay-per-view scheduled or organized or whatever. We do have, it seems from sources that within DAZN, within Eddie Hearn, that Canelo Alvarez and Cal Smith are sort of is being broached as an idea for a one-fight deal. Now, I think this is a really good fight. Don't get me wrong. I do wonder from the business standpoint, would Canelo want to do this right now? Not that he would never want to fight Cal Smith on DAZN in a one-fight deal. I'm not stating that, but right after you got out of there. If me, I can only speak about me personally right now, right? I can't speak for Canelo's mindset. I don't know. But for me personally, if I was in a position where I just got out of, again, in my view, oppressive, predatory contracts by a network and promoter, I would not want to go back to that network and fight under them immediately. Not saying never, but right after, literally 4 weeks, 5 weeks after, I just don't see why you would want to do that, except that you just want to make a big fight right now, and that's the only name available. But even I don't necessarily buy that. Where's David Benavidez at? That 20-year-old kid will definitely want to fight Canelo in 4 weeks' notice, right? And guess what? He's a cokehead, so he can get that out of his system in a day. So there are other matchups that I would kind of like more, to be honest. Not that this one is a worse matchup than the David Benavidez one or a better one. It just, to me, if I'm Canelo, I would not want to go straight back to DAZN right now. This would be a fight I would broach next year, in the summertime or something like that. Not right now.
the timing is obviously surprising to say the least. Like, if he went right back into a one-fight deal with DAZN, what are they offering him? I mean, this is what makes no sense to me. How much money are they offering him? If the money is right, it's a one-fight deal. You're not obligated to them. Why not take it? I mean, I get, like, it's the timing of it is weird, but Canelo said that it wasn't about the money. He just wanted to fight.
Yeah.
He wanted to fight, and they were holding him up. Usually, when people say it's not about the money, it's about three things: the money, and the money. Maybe he just wants a big fight, and like the only way to get a big fight was to get out of that contract. He doesn't really care where it is. You know, he's rich already. Whether it's 18 or 25 million, he's fine with it, and he just wants to fight right now. Maybe that's it. You know, when people say it's not about the money, to me, I'm usually waiting for, okay, that means it's not just about the money, right? But maybe he's fine with the money. He volunteered to take a 30% pay cut, which is insane to me, right? So maybe he just wants to take a big fight, and this is the best fight that's available for him right now. So he'll make it as long as everything is within reason.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it does seem like that's what's going to happen. I'll be honest. It does seem like Canelo is not desperate. That's probably the wrong term to use, but he wants a fight this year. Like, he wants, because he hasn't fought this year, right?
He hasn't fought this year, yeah.
So I think he wants to have one more fight a fight this year before it's done. I don't blame him. I imagine not making any massive revenue, because he has sponsorships and stuff, but that's small revenue compared to his boxing revenue, I would assume. For an entire year with a lifestyle that he probably lives, he probably can't do that. So he probably needs to fight this year to a degree to pay off taxes or whatever it may be, right? So I'm not shocked. I'm if this happens, I won't be shocked if he fights on DAZN in December with Cal Smith. It would just be a little bit odd. I imagine how the DAZN commentary team is going to handle that situation. Right? Like, there's little things where I'm just like, how is this going to be like handled? Like, how are they all just friends right now? Definitely not. Like, is John Skipper going to be up there praising Canelo Alvarez? That would be funny. You know what I mean? Like, it would just be hilarious if it was to happen, to be quite honest. The more I think about it, the more actually I want to happen, just due to the hijinks that could ensue. So who knows? And like we've said, like, this is a good fight. Like, this isn't a bad fight. This is a really competitive and fun fight. Maybe not competitive. I think he probably knocks out Callum Smith within 12 at some point. But it's just one of those situations where, hey, Canelo, you want to fight? You're the dude in charge of the sport in a way. Go take whatever fight you want, I guess. Like, he's in that Mayweather, like, late stage career phase where he can just say, I want to fight that guy. I want to fight that guy in this division. I want to make this much money. I want to fight on this network. And who's going to stop him? No one.
He doesn't seem to be as money hungry, as money centric as Mayweather was, which is good for fight fans because he'd be willing to make fights and not be married to a certain dollar amount, right? Like, he seems to be more flexible with money, which, look, I'm not blaming Mayweather. I'd be the same way. No, I'm not going to take the fight for that much. This is how much I'd be up Crawford's band. I'd be like, Crawford, I'm not taking a fight for 1 cent less than we had agreed. So figure out how to get the money. I'll be ready when you are. Just make sure the money's all there.
Yeah, Mayweather never had network autonomy.
Right.
Like, meaning he was always trying to think to at least a network, whether it be HBO or Showtime. I wonder, or maybe it was a CBS deal in particular. I don't know if it was a Showtime contract or a CBS contract.
It was technically CBS, but that means yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who's the one writing the check or signing the check, to say. Like, we're in a stage now where there are so many fighters that have network autonomy that it's quite interesting. And the idea of, like, the best fighter having complete promotional and network separation from those entities, it's, I think, we might be in a little bit of uncharted waters, to be quite honest. I don't think people are quite aware of the effect this is. Like, we've been like slowly progressing here for the last 5-ish years, but Canelo is a complete free agent. I mean, he is an anarchist wet dream, right? Or even an anarcho-capitalist wet dream, right?
Sure, absolutely.
Right? Like, I mean, he has no ties to network, he has no ties to a promoter. He can just do whatever he wants based on free association, right? Whatever he wants to do. And he's going to make the most money available because he's Canelo Alvarez. That's just the reality. Not everyone can do this, of course. Like, the low-level guys, you can't have this system, but a lot of the top guys, I think, in a very short amount of time, are going to have this setup.
Which is great.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Because that's how we get better prize fights. Like, because unless we have a complete system overhaul of sanctioning bodies and such, the idea of these systems enforcing rules to make the best fights possible is actually, I think, going to get us worse fights. And I think the evidence of the last 40 years, let's say, give or take a decade, is enough empirical evidence to show us that sanctioned bodies actually produce worse fights for us, not better fights for us. They actually degress the sport, not progress the sport. The top guys being completely autonomous from any of these institutions, I think, would be beneficial to the system as a whole, to be quite honest.
No, absolutely. The sanctioning bodies are there to be a safeguard to make sure the best fights happen, and they actually do the complete opposite. They make sure that the best fights don't happen, and ridiculous mandatories get title shots they don't deserve.
Absolutely. Shout out to the sanctioning bodies. Moving on. Deontay Wilder is not moving on, though. He's attempting to enforce trilogy fight through mediation, writes The Athletic. I forget if it was Coppinger or Pugmire. I'm not surprised by this. I was also wondering if this was going to happen when the news first came out of Fury fighting Caballero and Wilder having all of his disputes with excuses and such. I was thinking there's a rematch clause. There must be some sort of internal sort of force within that contract to force the trilogy fight. Why is that not being enacted? And it is now. I wonder where this is going to go. I think it's a retired judge is going to be the mediator of the contract. He's going to review. I think it's this week it's happening. So we should know relatively soon, meaning the next week or so we should know. I don't know if Wilder's going to win or not. I don't know how it's going to go. But, hey, Wilder's trying to enforce the trilogy fight. I think he probably should, at least for a PR perspective, he should do this. Saying all those excuses and then not trying to enforce a trilogy fight, I think would have been bad optics, to be quite honest.
Would you want to fight a guy again who loads his glove with egg weights? I mean, that's ultimately the question. No, this is it's the right move from Wilder. It just seems like and again, I don't know the legality of the contract. Why did you wait for the contract to be expired before you went this route? Why didn't you go this route before the option to exercise the rematch clause had expired? You know what I'm saying? You knew it was coming down. It wasn't going to get exercised with, under these current conditions. So why not take it to that? At that point, go to mediation and say, listen, this fight can't get made right now because of COVID. I want to make sure that I can exercise my rematch clause at some point at my discretion. You know what I'm saying? It's why did you wait for it to be over and then lose that legal ground? That's the part that's confusing. And I'm not saying Wilder doesn't legitimately want the rematch. I'm not saying that this is just a fool's errand, which he can't win, which is just an exercise to try to clear his name. I don't know if he wants the fight or not, right? But it just seems like...
I would say that the last year or so is probably proof that Wilder wouldn't avoid the rematch, since he is the one that did put a 50-50 contract in Fury's hand, which Fury held on to for I forget how long, and then didn't have the first rematch.
Right.
That happened. So that was actually last year, right? So I don't know about that. I think Wilder definitely does want the rematch, to be quite honest. It might not make a lot of sense if you're in his corner or his manager and you probably want him to take a tune-up, right? But he wants a rematch, and I think there's enough evidence to show that he probably does actually want the rematch.
Yeah, and he should get the rematch, but I don't like it. Look, I'm as big a geek caramel fan as there is. Like, no one thinks he's better than I think he is. He's not going to win that fight, right? So it's not like Wilder's going to lose his chance to rematch Trilogy with Fury, right? It's going to happen. Like, let Fury fight this fight, and then he has to fight Wilder whenever time prevails, time allows it to. I don't know when we're going to be able to have that type of travel again and have a full arena with 20 to 50,000 people in it to watch this fight. I don't know when that is, but whenever that is, like, let Wilder have that option to take that rematch. That's what I'm saying. Like, if Fury wants to fight a tune-up in the meantime, he should be allowed to do that. And so should Wilder. Whenever boxing resumes to having sold out venues, then Wilder should have the right to exercise that option. That's what I would rule, not knowing the particulars.
I probably agree with you on that, Gary, to be quite honest. Jay in the chat saying Dana White's going to take over by first making Clarissa Shields a pay-per-view star, then go on from there. Jay, I hope you're trying to troll me there. It's not going to work, buddy. Fuck Dana White always. Moving on, let's talk about some of the lighter weight classes. First up, we're going to get to Ioka Tanaka in a second because that's official now for New Year's Eve in Japan. But first, Inoue Kasamura, in sort of regards to what Gary was talking about in terms of spectators, that's not happening anytime soon, as Aram states that he needs spectators for that fight. Gary, this feels like a lot of bullshit to me.
Yeah, that does seem weird to me, right? Because he would do it here in Vegas, not over there in Japan. If it was in Japan, it would make some bit of sense, right? But his goal was to make him a star here.
Yeah.
So that tells me the fight would be in Vegas. What?
And not like the Mandalay Bay and so like
you did Teofimo Lopez versus Lomachenko with no fans, right? You're doing Crawford with no fans. Why does this fight need fans? It's a weird comment that like I had to go back and read because like it made zero sense to me. Zero, right? Because you could do all these bigger fights with your legitimate stars, right? I just named your three biggest stars: Crawford, Teo, and Loma, all four with no fans. Two of them fought each other with no fans, but now this one needs fans. Something's not right about that.
Bob Arum's full of shit.
Yeah, I mean, I had to like that doesn't make any type of sense. Then when I read the headline, my brain went, okay, he initially wants to do it in Japan, where it would need fans, right? But he's not doing it in Japan. He gave no indication that they wanted to have the fight in Japan. And then in the past, Arum has said many times he wants to make the monster a star here. So it's like, well, why would he need fans? Like, why you had Crawford, Loma, and Teo all fight without fans? You're having Fury fight without fans, most likely, right? Against a geek. So now we talked about your four biggest stars with no fans. Why would Inoue need fans? It doesn't make any sense. I'm glad you're as puzzled as I was because that seemed ridiculous to me when I read it.
I'm not puzzled per se. I understand like it's an inherent contradiction of like of their brand right now, of the promotion right now, because they've, like you said, their biggest fighters have been doing fights without fans. The idea of Inoue Kasamura.
Shakur Stevenson is now fighting twice without fans.
Inoue Kasamura, a bantamweight unification in the U.S. needs spectators to break even? Like what?
Doesn't make any sense.
Like again, in like a perfect scenario, this fight's probably in LA, not Vegas, right? Like let's say we have fans.
Yeah.
And it's at like the Forum or like the renamed StubHub, which I'm never going to name its new name because it's stupid. It's the Dignity
Health Park Life Stadium Insurance. I don't know.
Insurance.
Yeah, I'm not calling it
Adding that part, it makes it
StubHub.
It's so good.
Used to be the Home Depot Center. That's probably when you were a little guy. That was when you were probably 5 years old. It was
when did Oscar fight? What's his name? Steve Forbes at the StubHub. Wasn't that at the Home Depot Center?
Depot Center. Yeah.
Wasn't that at the Home Depot Center?
I believe it was Paul Williams and Margarito was at the Home Depot Center.
Yeah, that was.
So
that's great. I love that venue. Though they did change their smoking rules, which fucking suck.
You used to be allowed to smoke in it?
Dude, it was outdoor venue.
Yeah.
And like, there's no roof, there's nothing. It's the tennis court next to the soccer stadium, basically, in LA. That's what it is. That's what the StubHub Center is. That's what the Home Depot Center is. It's the soccer stadium that LA Galaxy uses, right? But the side right next to it is the tennis court, which is used for like, I think that the LA Open, whatever, for tennis. I don't know tennis, guys. Apologies. But that is converted to the boxing ring, right? In the boxing arena at the StubHub, or the Home Depot Center originally called. And so basically, like, when you walk up to the area, or the center, you walk up this ramp. On the left side is the soccer stadium, which you can actually like go around. Like, it's because it's right next to the tennis court. So if there's a lull in the boxing fights, and go kind of walk around the soccer stadium if you want. And right to the right of it is the tennis court. So you can just sort of on top of it, on the very top, just walk around. That's where all the food's at. That's how you get back to your car. So you're just hanging out basically at the top of the arena, which are only like 20, 30 rows up. So it's only like a few thousand people. And you would be able to smoke up there, and it's LA, right? So like, if you wanted to smoke weed up there, cops kind of just didn't care.
Yeah.
Now you can't do anything up there. It sucks. It made me so pissed off. I forget what fight I went to that was like that. It might have been like the third Superfly where Roman Gonzalez got knocked out. I forget if that was the one, or if it was a fight after that where they changed the rules, and that upset me. Thank God the Forum doesn't do that still. The Forum has an outside like veranda. I don't know if that's the right terminology, like patio area that circles the entire arena, and you can smoke there, and that's awesome. Don't smoke, kids. Bad for your lungs.
It's bad for your lungs.
That is factual. Yes, that is true. Let's talk about Ioka Tanaka, though. I forgot to pull it up, but let's talk about Ioka Tanaka. New Year's Eve in Japan. It's official. Gary, I cannot really describe how excited I am for this fight. This is probably the fight that's left in the year that matters to me. Like, all the other fights, like, there's like some big fights, relatively speaking, like Spence Garcia, I guess, is a big fight. What else? What am I missing?
Fury and Agit.
No,
that's not a big fight. I feel like there's more big fights that I'm missing. Well, tomorrow's fight, obviously, both guys made weight, by the way. Brook weighed 147 and Crawford weighed 146.4.
Did Brook look drained?
I didn't see it. I just got the update on my phone. I just got it. Like, that's what I was looking at before.
I'll go find a picture if we can. But this might be the best fight left in the year.
It's the best fight, right? It's not the biggest fight, but it's the best fight. This is a great fight. You guys know how I feel about Ioka. I think he's the guy that upsets the whole division. Now, look, anyone in that division could lose, right? That division is so good and so stacked. Like, there's not one guy who can go beat every single guy, but I would pick Ioka against every guy. We haven't seen Tanaka yet at this division. I don't think it's going to be a major problem. He carries plenty of power, and he's 3 pounds, so I don't think it's going to be a major problem. He's long and rangy. This is a great fight. I could see either guy winning. Either guy has a clear path to victory. I just think that Ioka's really good. Like what Ioka did to Ashton Palikte, was able to get inside and beat him up and nullify his power and range. I don't think that. I think he's able to do that again. And he may get hit. He may eat some shots in the interim. I just think there's too many tricks in the bag for Ioka, and Ioka wins probably by late stoppage.
Wow. Late stoppage?
Late stoppage.
Has Tanaka ever been really hurt?
Not off the top of my head. No. And he's fought some good. Tanaka hasn't fought some Americans. He's fought good guys. I don't remember off the top of my head Tanaka being hurt. Although I'm sure Santiago will correct us on that if he has been.
Guys, we fucked up, man. We fucked up. This isn't the best fight left in the year. It isn't. We're missing a huge one, Gary. Mike fucking Tyson versus Roy Jones
Jr.
Pay-per-view, baby. All right. But no, back to your point. Ioka can play spoiler here. He can rough up Tanaka. He can win a decision. I don't think he can knock him out. I don't think there's any evidence that he could, to be quite honest. But I think that Tanaka is about to enter the division where he is kind of meant to be at. I think his size, his build, his sort of skill set, I think is really going to belong at 115. Where I think at 112 he dominated to that degree, but I think this would be his best division. I think he's sort of meant for this division in terms of, again, his size and such. I think his skill set is better than Ioka's. I think he has a better pure boxing skill set in terms of fundamentals, working off the jab, lateral movement. I think Ioka has a little bit of an unorthodox style that leads to him having a lot of success. Kind of like Akira Higashi in a way. Like he had a lot of success, though he wasn't the best orthodox fighter out of Japan. He had a great career. I sort of see Ioka being that in that vein, where like he's going to win a lot of good fights, but to the very best, he's not going to win those fights. Similar to like Quadras in a way. You know, like he's really good. Is he going to beat the very best? Most likely not. He could. Like there's some nights he might beat a top 5 guy or something like that, but consistently, I don't think so. I think his style leads to him getting outboxed in certain ways. So I see Tanaka landing the jab consistently, working off that, going to the body. I think this is going to be a war for sure. And I just see Tanaka edging it like he does in all of his wars because I think he is that much of a better boxer than a lot of these guys. So I'm picking Tanaka here, and I think that we will start talking about Tanaka versus Roman Gonzalez in Japan, Tanaka versus Estrada, and a new way dropping back down and facing Tanaka for like Japanese supremacy. Like that will absolutely be a casual talking point amongst us boxing fans right now if Tanaka wins in the fashion I see him to win. But you're right. That I mean, Ioka can play spoiler. Like, could he get on the inside of that jab, rough up Tanaka to the body, do that, rinse and repeat enough, and win decision? Absolutely. That is not absurd to say right now. Tanaka is criminally underrated. Tanaka, though, is just rightly rated as like a pound-for-pound guy. That's the difference. Gary, any thoughts?
I think if Ioka wins, he's a pound-for-pound guy. He's lost twice. He's and 2 really close to decisions in a fight against Nietes, which was impossible to score, right? That was a New Year's Eve fight on December 2018. And then he lost to Amnat Ranarag, however you say his name, in a split decision, right? So, I mean, he's fought great guys, and he's lost twice in really, really close decisions. If this is the fight he needs, he beat Cintron, he beat Palikta, he beat those guys. This is the name he needs on his resume to prove that he's as good as I think he is.
Absolutely. If Ioka wins this, then he's in the pound-for-pound discussion, absolutely. If not, like maybe in the Hall of Fame discussion in a way, because there's a lot of these guys at like 112 to 118 that we're going to talk about in the Hall of Fame in like 20 years. So that's just the reality, I feel like. And speaking of 118, Nonito Donaire Obali is no longer happening as Obali cannot get a visa. So we're getting Donaire versus Emmanuel Rodriguez on Showtime for December 19th. Gary, your thoughts on Donaire versus Rodriguez, a guy that you're, or at least were, maybe still are, high on. Like you think
I'm going down on that ship. I will not surrender. I am going down on the Manny Rodriguez ship, and I'm going down on the Josh Greer ship. I was going to say Josh Greer should fight the winner, but Donaire says he's going to cut off his leg and go down to 115, right? After this fight?
That was talking about that, yeah.
Well, I mean, look at the size of that guy. I mean, if you can make it, go do it. I don't know why you'd leave 18, but there's plenty of good names at 15. It was insane to me because he was fighting at 126 a year and a half ago.
Fighting at 130.
Yeah, well, 130.
He fought Crampton at 130, right?
Was that? Yeah, I guess so, right? It must have been at 130.
I was at 130, man. Like that dude dropped down 12 whole pounds. I was like, I can do 15.
But what he, I mean, it's not like we're talking about Tyson Fury cutting 15 pounds. We're talking about a guy with not many pounds to start with cutting 15 pounds. But
what's the percentage of that of like your overall body mass? Like let's say he was around 130, 135 pounds.
Well, 15% would, it's almost 10%. It's more than 10%. Because 15 pounds would be 10% of 150.
You're right.
I don't know, 11.5%, 12% of your entire body weight.
Look at Gary there with the quick maths there. It's just 10%, Matt. Duh. Yeah. God, that's why I failed math. No, I think absolutely like it's insane what Donaire is talking about going down to 115. But in terms of the fight with Rodriguez, you're thinking that he beats Rodriguez though, even though you like Rodriguez.
Yeah, I'm glad to see Rodriguez because they were talking about Rodriguez going up to 122. I think 18 is where he should be, so it's good to see that he's staying there. I mean, he's not going to win this fight though. It was like a New Way fight. It's good to see how, and I want to see him be competitive. He was not competitive against a New Way. I hope he's competitive. I hope he shows well, though. I can't see Manny Rodriguez, who I'm a big fan of, winning this fight at all. Although, no, I can't see him winning this fight. No. I mean, Donaire is aging. Old guys don't usually last long in these weight classes, but I don't see Donaire waking up that old, given his last performance. So I don't really see Manny Rodriguez having much of a chance in this fight, although it could be entertaining for a while.
Agreed. Yep. Moving on to Teixeira Castano. Golden Boy wins the purse bid for the title fight. So I'm assuming we're going to get Teixeira Castano on DAZN in the near future. Purse bid, though, wasn't that high.
Yeah.
The winning purse bid was $427,000 for Golden Boy. TGB Promotions offered up a purse bid of $225,000. That's low. That's pretty low. I'm not too surprised because these are the two hardcore names within the top 10 of that division, which is a hardcore division, right? 154 is not a star-stud division in terms of name value, and they especially do not have any of star-studded name value within that division itself. So it's not ultimately surprising, but damn, that's low for a fight that is probably going to be an all-out war.
Banger. Yeah, congrats to Golden Boy because they got look, I expect Castano to win because Castano is so good offensively. And he's not very good defensively. He's not bad defensively. Well, he's not terrible defensively.
He's a Lucas Matisse. He's a that's okay. He's a Lucas
Matisse. So good offensively, right? I expect Castano to knock him out. But it's going to be fun while it lasts. I say 8 or 9 rounds, and Castano gets him out. But this is going to be fun while it lasts.
Within 10 for sure. And I always forget how old Castano is. He's 33 years old.
Yeah, he's not young. We just heard about him late. But Sergio Martinez, another fighter from Argentina, we never heard about him until he was in his 30s either.
It happens.
He apparently lost to Margarito on his way up, right when they were both undefeated. But then it was years later until we heard of Sergio, and he was a pound for pound guy. Sergio Martinez, his late 30s was so good.
I'm about to go tell my dog to shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, dog.
Hey, I don't know. Peter could be listening. I don't know that you want to talk to your dog like that.
Peter.
The people.
Peter. No, I thought you said Peter. I'm like, who the
Peter
fuck
who? Peter. I don't give a shit what Peter says.
Oh, fuck Peter. Oh my god, that's so good. Moving on, Shakur Stevenson is fighting his best opponent to date, Toka Khan Clary. Is that his best opponent to date? Probably, right?
Okay, it's the best name. It's the most accomplished fighter. Why can't I think of what's the guy that he won his title against name? Who I think is
wow, Gary, you don't remember his name?
Why is my brain not working today?
Joet Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Do you know how I remember that? I'll be honest. For some reason I connected to Joan Jett.
Okay.
The rock star, right? Is she a rock star? Would you say that she's a rock star?
Yeah, she's a rock star. Yeah.
For some reason I just think of Joan Jett. So Joet Gonzalez is Joan Jett in my mind.
Joet Gonzalez beats Toka Khan Clary.
I think he beats Joan Jett.
He beats Joan Jett. Joan Jett.
She doesn't have a good jab.
Who did Toka Khan Clary lose to? I know we've seen him a bunch, and
was it Frampton or Scott Quigg or something like that? Right?
Might have been Quigg. Yeah.
I'll check it up right now. Hold on. I think this is a good name for whatever he's supposed to fight. Let's be honest. Shakur Simpson's in that position where he's in no man's land, right? Fighting this level of competition would have been fun if he didn't have now a former championship around his waist, right? And
it was Kid Galahad he lost to.
That's it. Yes. Well, I'm gonna go tell my dog to be quiet because I can still hear my dog. I don't know if you can, but I can, and it's bothering me a lot. So I'll be right back, Gary.
I'll talk. about how Joette Gonzalez would destroy Tolga Clary.
And not true. And you can also talk about Virgil Ortiz signing an advisory deal with MTK and a managerial deal with Rick Morangan. So talk about that as well if you want, Gary.
It's a 5-year deal, which is a lot, right? Virgil Ortiz just turned 22, I want to say. So a 5-year contract is that takes him into his prime. I mean, this is a big deal. I don't know what MTK really, the ins and outs. You know, I have not seen the contract. I don't know. Maybe it's a great contract. Maybe it's a terrible contract. I don't really know. But I think it shows an element of not complete trust in Golden Boy if you're going out and getting a managerial deal in addition to it with someone like MTK. That's what it, and I'm not saying Virgil's wrong for not having complete trust in Oscar. I mean, Jojo Diaz doesn't like him. Ryan Garcia doesn't like him. Canelo Alvarez doesn't like him. So I don't blame Virgil Ortiz for doing this. I don't know exactly what this offers him, what this brings to the table for him. If it brings him closer to a fight with one of the premier names at 147, he constantly calls out guys like, but they're all on the PBC side, guys like Danny Garcia and Keith Thurman. He desperately wants to fight them. I talked to Virgil Ortiz's dad when they were putting up his mural in Grand Prairie. They said Danny Garcia is the fight that they want, win, lose, or draw with Errol Spence. Like, that's the guy they want to fight. I don't know how being with MTK Global gets you any closer to those fights necessarily. I just think it shows not complete trust in the Golden Boy process when you go out and hire a manager like this, right? And I was saying, like, Jojo Diaz hates Golden Boy. Ryan Garcia doesn't like Golden Boy. And Canelo only talked to Oscar through lawyers. So they don't have a great history with their better fighters, right? None of them seem to like Oscar. It's not like Al Heyman where they all seem to love him. Jojo Diaz is on Twitter every day saying how he hates Golden Boy. So I think this is kind of like, hey, guys, can you either help me get out of this contract with Golden Boy or try to maximize it for me in some way, which is kind of how I feel like this, where we're going with this.
No, absolutely. I think that it will not, sooner rather than later, Golden Boy will not be around. I'll be honest. Like, at what point does Oscar doesn't want to put up with this as well?
I already think he doesn't put up with it. It's just like a thing. Like, it's a side thing that someone else runs.
But those people that run it, are they enjoying this process at all? You know what I mean? I never get the sense, even when I'm around at Golden Boy events, I never get the sense people are enjoying this. I
don't disagree.
You lost Canelo, like you mentioned. I heard you talking about Joseph Diaz being.
He hates Golden Boy.
I know we haven't talked about it. I haven't brought up tweets, but guys, follow Joseph Diaz on Twitter. That dude has no filter, man. Oh my god, he's not happy there. Ryan Garcia obviously has had, documented issues with Golden Boy. Ortiz is the one guy that hasn't. That's largely because he's under the radar, even to his own promoter.
And he's a really mild-mannered kid. I think even if he had a problem with them, he wouldn't go public with it.
No, he'd rather talk about Call of Duty on Twitter and shit like that.
Exactly. Or how much better Whataburger is than that crap that you guys have in California, In-N-Out.
I've never had Whataburger, so I don't know.
Whataburger is so much better. It's the first thing he does when he comes back from. Have
you had Shake Shack?
I've had Shake Shack. We have one here, but I had it when I lived in New York, which where they're from originally.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've had Shake Shack. It's comparable. Some people love Shake Shack. I don't.
Hold on. Five Guys, yes or no? Do you like?
I like Five Guys. Their fries, their burgers, I think are subpar. The fries are fantastic. The burgers I would put below the crap that you guys have in LA, the In-N-Out.
Well, we have Five Guys in
Do you guys have Five Guys too? Yeah, Five Guys is kind of.
I remember when Five Guys first opened up. Oh my god, that shit was amazing.
Because they gave you a bag full of fries, and the fries were good.
And I was like 17 when they first opened up. So I'm like, I'm right in like my prime smoking days, right? So I'm smoking way too much weed, going to the beach all the time. So a bag of fries at the beach, absolutely was something that like we had. Absolutely. But damn, you think it's worse than In-N-Out Burger?
Yeah. And then you guys have Fat Burger too. Is that still a thing?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of Fat Burger. It's all right.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of Five Guys. Like I think the fries are really good. I just don't think the burgers are that special. Like Whataburger is the king.
I never had it. I can't.
So greasy and good. And then like Shake Shack is better than In-N-Out, and then I would say In-N-Out, and then
there was a burger chain in Florida. I remember it being in Florida. I don't know if it's another place. I forget the name of it. If anyone's listening from Florida, let me know. It was like a high-end burger place. Like we ordered on iPads and shit. But oh my God. It was amazing. Like it was one of those where like my entire life changed and I wanted to go there every day when I was in Florida. It was just that good.
Yeah. There's a place in Long Island, right by the beach in Massapequa called All American, and it's just a burger joint. It just looks like a little burger dive, and it's on your way to the beach, and the burgers and the shakes are amazing. Like if you go there in the summer, the lines are out the door. Like it makes me want to go back to New York and just go to the beach and get like 12 hamburgers and 3 shakes. It's that good. Like it's the first thing I do when I go visit friends who live out there. It's the like we got to go to All American.
Santiago, Fat Burger is the Javi Munguia burger. Oh my God, that's so good. It's so true. Santiago saying Rallies, Checkers, The Counter. I haven't been to The Counter. I don't know what that is. And Tommy's are my top 3 burger places. I like Tommy's burgers. Rallies or Checkers is all right. I like their fries. I like their fries there a lot. An underrated place, I'll be honest, and it's only because it's underrated because I don't go there often because there's not one really near me. But there is one in Oregon, like right along the 5 freeway where like I had to hop on if I wanted to go to Portland. Is A&W. A&W has underrated fast food. Just want to point that out.
I've seen them before. They usually have them like in the Taco Hutch or something, right? Like I've never had A&W fast food.
Dude, underrated. I'll say that. Like if you're ever like on the road and you see an A&W and you're hungry, try it. You will not be disappointed. I will say that. It's not gonna be the best in the world, of course, but in terms of like fast food burgers, it's like damn.
Pizza, burgers, or taco, you can only get one on a fast food trip. What do you on a
road trip?
Road trip. You can only have one.
Pizza, burgers,
tacos. You can only have one.
Where's the road trip? Depends on what food. If I'm in the Southwest, do a taco stand.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Oh, taco like hole in the wall place.
Yeah.
Some street tacos with some what's the pork tacos called again? Al pastor. You want some al pastor tacos? Fuck yeah. Yes. With some chives and shit like that. Absolutely. Some onions and shit. Oh my God, some taco sauce. Yes. If I'm in the South, I'm not even thinking about fast food. I'm thinking about barbecue places.
Yeah.
Am I being honest? Like,
absolutely.
If you want to have this discussion, I'm thinking.
But now we're at a different price point.
Not really. There's like if
you can go to like Dickie's, but that's not really good. Yeah, you can do it. You can get cheap barbecue, but the quality reflects that.
I will say this: if you're in the South, travel someone that's already been there and knows the spots. Because it's very hard to just be on the road in the South and know where to like hop off and go to like this little tiny barbecue spot that has these giant ass ribs and they're cheap, right? But like you kind of need to know someone there that's been there before that knows the layout. That helps a lot. But to get to your original point, in terms of like generally speaking, I will pick burgers over pizza and tacos if on a road trip. Okay. And generally speaking, I will pick burgers over those 3, period. Like maybe that's like crazy. I don't know. I know Santiago is a big pizza guy, but like pizza is great. Like I'll get into pizza cake here and there. Tacos are always, quality, let's say. But damn, cheeseburgers are just fucking delicious.
Cheeseburgers are phenomenal. especially if it's got bacon. When I was driving to Jefferson, Missouri, on the way back, we were going through Tulsa, and we had to stop to eat. And I forget the name. I'll ask my wife, but there was this burger place in Tulsa. It's just like a little hole. Like, oh man, this is like one of the best burgers I ever had. Shit. But no, cheeseburgers are those could be king. Yeah.
There was it was a burger stand that would only open up after like 10 p.m. or like midnight by my college, right? And it would only open like Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, right? It's one of those. There's a party stand, right? Basically. So, midnight, all of us drunk motherfuckers would, stumble out of the frat house and walk a few blocks to the main street to this burger stand. I forget what the name of it was. I should probably text one of my friends and ask him what the name is. But they did the whole thing where like the cheese was inside the meat. So like
there you go.
Oh my God. And they did this one where it was like jalapenos, cheese, bacon, and like some other sauce, I want to say, inside the meat. And it was heavenly. Like, oh my God. It was just, there's no way to describe it. Of course, every time we went there, we were drunk or high off our asses because it was midnight on Thursdays, Fridays, or Saturdays. But goddamn, it was delicious.
There was a place where I went to college called Campus Pizza right by Hofstra, right? And it was open until 3 or 4 in the morning. So the only time people went there was when they were drunk. It was right near the bar McKeeb's. So you go there. No one was ever there sober, right? And so the pizza was good. It was fine. Like, it wasn't great, but it was fine. It was good enough, right? Because everyone there was drunk, and like all of their business was done between 2 and 4 in the morning. And I remember I was going back to college to go to some fraternity event, right? And I was like hungry. Like, I'll just stop at Campus Pizza. On my way, I got the pizza. It was the most disgusting thing I have ever eaten. I'm like, why does anyone? How is this place open? It's the worst pizza in Long Island, right? It's like the worst pizza in Texas. Like, okay, I mean, there's no really such good thing as really good pizza, but like, it's in Long Island. It's like where there's good pizza shops. That's right, because it's open till 4 in the morning. And it's right near a college bar. That's why it's open. But it's like something you don't realize how bad it is until like you go back and have it sober. It's like, this is disgusting.
No, I'm sorry. Okay. Like maybe all of these people were drunk too, and that's absolutely the case. But Dad's Weekend, right? I don't know if your fraternity did this at the time, but like you have Dad's Weekend and Mom's Weekend. Yeah. I think it's a school-wide thing, not just a fraternity thing, but we made it a bigger thing at our fraternity. Like Dad's Weekend was, I think there was a football game that weekend, and what would you bring? Beer and like I think it was brown liquor, so like rum, whiskey, scotch. Mom's Weekend's all wine. We all bring bottles of wine. But anyways, Dad's Weekend, we get all hammered. Dads are all there trying to live up their youth again, right? And they want to go to the burger stand, right? So we all pile through the streets, people falling into bushes and shit. And those dads loved it too. Maybe we're all drunk. That is possible. But it was a wide, diverse group of people as a case study. And we all loved it. That's not true. One of my friends didn't like it, but he was a loser. Anyways, sorry to get on that topic. I don't know what we're talking about before then. Does it really matter though? Let's just get to the news and we can get out of here, to be honest. Gilberto Ramirez and Michael Hunter are returning, not obviously fighting each other, but they're returning separately. December 19th in Texas. Yay.
This is weird because it's El Tigre Promotions, which is Alfonso Lopez, which is a fighter from Houston, which he started his own promotion club. So it's a local promotion in Houston that has all local fighters. I don't.
Well, yeah, because Michael Hunter is no longer with Eddie Hearn.
But this is the best. I mean, I know Alfonso Lopez. He's a good guy. I'm not trying to disparage him, but like he's got 2 names here. This is the best card they could get on. Like, I don't. Okay. I did. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're fighting on a card in Houston by a local promoter when there's no. Michael Hunter's from California, New York, or something, and then Zordo has no connection to Houston. Like I don't like. That's great, and he's fighting Lopez, but I just don't understand like why they would go fight on a local card. You know what I'm saying? Like Soto Ramirez had a huge following at one point. Was a draw at one point. This seems weird to me. Like I read this, like I can't. This seems strange to me. Like them fighting on this card seems weird to me.
It's odd, but it's Corona period, man. Like everything's a little bit odd to a degree, right? Like the sport is not what it was in 2019 or 18. That's just the unfortunate reality here. Back on the food topic, because Santiago's asking you, by any chance, do you know that place in Texas that arguably had the biggest pizza in the world, or is it the best pizza in the world? I don't know.
No, it's the biggest. And it's Texas. Everything is bigger in Texas, and that's true. If you go to other parts of the country, you realize that it's absolutely true. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. No, it was not the best. It's certainly not the best. It was the biggest in size.
The best pizza I've ever had, though, was a pizza stand in Paris, actually. It was right by the prison, the famous prison where like King Louis and Marie Antoinette were in and shit.
Yeah.
I forget the name of the prison. It was a long time ago. I was like 10 years old. But that pizza, oh my God. It was like square pizza too, and it was like toasted and like almost like a toaster oven it looked like. But that shit was like, like the cartoons where like the cheese is like, like it stretches and shit, and you're like, I want that pizza. That doesn't exist. This was that pizza, just in square form, not in circle form, and it was delicious.
Yeah, the square form is
underrated,
but that's what they serve over in Italy, right? Like the circle thing came over somewhere in America, and like the pizza in New York is phenomenal. It's just like it doesn't taste as fresh as what they have in Italy, right? Because of the products that are used. Like the pizza in Italy, you've been there, right, Matt?
Yes, I just don't like the globs of mozzarella. I will never get. I will never get that. Like. Spread that fucking cheese out, please.
No, it melts a little bit when you cook it. No, I like it better that way.
I know. Okay, Sicilian motherfucker over here. I bet you and Paulie get along. No, look. If those have not been to Italy but are like planning on it or whatever, I'm just warning you. The pizza is very different. The pasta is the same, pretty much. I'll be quite honest. The pasta is always delicious in Italy. The pizza though is hit or miss. I'll be quite honest, because it's just not what we're used to. If you're someone that's never really experienced traditional pizza, it's like another fucking word. Like, what is this dish that you just handed me? This is not pizza. And it's all right. It's all right. I liked it. I like the pasta more in Italy though. The pasta was delicious, and like their overall like sandwiches, like almost like deli sandwiches, I'll say, in Italy are fantastic.
Yeah, it's the bread. It's just that
it is
fresher. There's a pizzeria in I think it got knocked out with Hurricane Sandy. I haven't been back since Sandy, but the best pizzeria was called Titone's. It's in Coney Island, right by the beach. It's like 100 years old, and I think the owner still lives upstairs, even though she's a multimillionaire, because this pizzeria is so good, and they cook it the way they do in Italy, where Matt would like it's got the globs of mozzarella as he calls it, but if I don't know if it's there. Someone fact check and see if Titone ever opened up again, because it got destroyed in Hurricane Sandy. But it's Titono's Pizza in Coney Island.
You know how to spell that? Is it Tonton?
It's spelled like Titanos.
Cool, Gary. Yeah, like I know how to spell Titan. Dude, I think I'm spelling English, let alone Italian.
Hang on 1 second.
Liam saying Americans don't know how to do pizza. Come at me. How do you Australians do pizza? Is it? I'm very curious. Like, what do Australians do to their pizza that's vastly different?
Okay, it's Totonno.
Wait, Totonno
apostrophe S.
Gosh, hold on, I'm stupid. Totno. NNO?
Yeah. Apostrophe S. Yeah.
Totonno's Pizza. I see one in Brooklyn.
Yep, that's the one, Coney Island. Yep.
Yeah, I think it's still around.
Is the best. Okay, because it got destroyed in Hurricane Sandy. I don't know it, and I haven't been back.
I'm not going to click on it because it's Barstool Sports, but they did a pizza review at Totonno's in Coney Island.
Should have got an A+, 6 stars. It's the best pizza you've ever had in America. Yeah.
Pizza in New York is better than Chicago pizza.
It's a different animal. It's like you get that real thick crust. It's got the sausage on the inside. It's like it's a meal. Where in New York you can eat a pie by yourself, and I've done it many, many times. In Chicago, you can't do that. Like what's it? Giordano's, is that the name of the pizzeria that's famous in Chicago?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
It's really good. It's a different beast. Like it's two different species.
Yeah, I don't mind deep dish pizza, but like I got to be in the mood for deep dish pizza, like Chicago style. I got to be like in that mood. I want a very heavy, like that. Oh god. Anyways, last piece of news, and we'll get the fuck out of here. Alexander Flores, who lost to Luis Ortiz, had his purse withheld. I think due to some sort of suspicion of
taking a dive, but I didn't see that.
I mean,
did you see that? I thought he got hit with a body shot and he went down.
I'll be honest. Like, do I care? There's a reason this is the last topic of the day, guys, because I don't want to really talk about this. Because I don't think it matters if he took a dive or not. Because like, what is he going to do? Win? Secondly, I mean, the idea of like taking dives, I think, is such a overblown conspiracy theory in modern boxing that it frustrates me. Like it frustrates me in almost more than anything, because every close decision we have in boxing, we hear, "Oh,
it's a robbery.
They robbed him," and then you try asking, "Who's they?" It's Oscar. It's Bob. It's one person rigging the entire system. And I just think that's preposterous. The same with this to a degree. If they find any evidence, then I will obviously change my opinion in this specific case. But right now, don't care. And yeah, it is what it is. Gary, your thoughts?
Pay the guy, right? Like he didn't. The thing is, like, is the suspicion that someone paid him off to take a dive, or did he just eat that first left hand and say, "I don't want any of this smoke"? That's more, if you think he took a dive, right? Kind of like Bruce Sullivan went in there. He ate one shot from Mike Tyson, says, "I don't want any of this smoke," and then took it, and then went down. Is that take? I don't think anyone paid Flores to take a dive. If that's what the suggestion is. Did he eat? Because Ortiz landed a good shot that backed him up real quick. Did he say, "No, I'm out of my league. I don't want this," and then just go down? I didn't see that. I saw he got hit with a body shot and went down. Like that's what I saw. I don't know.
I saw him once, and it was like, "What the fuck did I just watch?" And I moved on for my day.
Ortiz was pissed, which tells me kind of maybe he didn't think he hit him that clean, because Ortiz was not happy. He's like, "Oh, get up, really? Like this is what you're gonna do? Like I wanted some work, you know." So I don't know. Ortiz doesn't seem like he doesn't feel like he hit him with a real good shot, right? At the same time, I saw the shot land. I saw Flores go down. Like I don't know. It didn't seem like a dive to me. It could have been one of those things where he just like, yeah, I'm not getting up.
Guys, that'll be it for today's show. We've been on for almost 2 hours, and I probably have the Rona, so you're welcome.
You could just have a cold or flu, because it is that season too.
No, like, I have the Rona, Gary.
All right, you have the Rona, man.
I want the most sympathy from everyone as possible, of course. Woe is me. That is my life right now. I probably don't have Rona. It's like, how the fuck is no one else in my family sick right now and just me if I'm the one that has the Rona? Because like I'm around like my mom, my dad. I see them like at least once or twice a week. My kid, obviously every other week I have. My grandma I take care of. No, if I'm the only one that has the Rona, God hates me. That's just further proof to my theory that God hates me. I'm like Job.
God didn't hate Job.
I don't know.
God didn't hate Job.
It was pretty spiteful. That was kind of fucked up, man. Yo, you're my most faithful dude. That means I'm gonna kill off your entire family, kill all your animals, bring you down to extreme poverty, give you boils on your face, just so you love me more. Like that's the most abusive relationship I've ever heard. Like imagine if your girlfriend did that to you. Like, imagine if you're dating someone and your girlfriend was like, she killed your entire family, gave you smallpox, like burn your house down. Like, I did this so you would love me more. You'd be like, bitch, I'm calling the cops on you. That's what you would say. Let's be honest about it. Let's be honest about it, Gary. Anyways, I'm sorry. Getting on a rant there. Find me, Matt Hunter, MCR, all social media platforms. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe, all that stuff. You know what to do. I do have a bunch of videos in the can that I need to upload on Trending Now Network, but I've been lazy and I haven't been feeling well. So I've been just playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which has been utter trash in my opinion. But I'm still playing it because I'm a completionist, I guess, or perfectionist to some degree. Guys, have a great day, great evening. Gary, final thoughts.
Find me in all forms of social. Oh, it's a big week for San Antonio boxing. Again, guys, watch the FS1 card. My boy Eddie Hunter Ortiz and my boy Henry Arredondo are both fighting 2 undefeated prospects from San Antonio, both fighting other undefeated prospects. So it should be a good night. And then you have F.A. Apache, who I guess is good, fighting as well. But find me in all forms of social media, which includes MeWe. I just started a MeWe account, and I have no friends. I don't know how to search for people. Do you know what MeWe?
No. Is that like a Parlor?
No, I don't know. It's not Parlor. Parlor is something different. Parlor, and then there's Rumble. No, it's. I don't know. I had friends who joined MeWe.
What's Rumble? Is that like another social media?
I don't want to say it on this network. It's a competitor to this what we're on now.
StreamYard or YouTube?
The second one.
You can say it out loud.
I don't know. YouTube gets sensitive, don't they? Google doesn't like it when you mention their competitors.
No, we can mention their competitors because
if I said I binged it, wouldn't Google get a little mad about that?
Wait, no one uses Bing. Let's be honest, okay?
DuckDuckGo. You don't know DuckDuckGo?
No, I don't.
I think it's no. I'm not going to say that. It doesn't keep your search history at all. There's no record of your search history on DuckDuckGo, and the results are comparable to other search engines. I'll say that. I
like my search history though.
Okay.
Because you know, like when you delete shit and you like or delete a tab and you want to go back to that tab,
you don't have that option. Like you can, like I guess, can you get rid of? I don't know. I don't search anything that I care about, but like I also don't like people tracking me. Right?
Yeah, they can track your device regardless because they can track the hardware. Right? Like the actual.
I feel like such a boomer when I talk to you. Like I really do. Like I don't know.
Yeah, like if you're like on your phone on these like software apps that like aren't tracking you, but you're still on your iPhone, then the government can still track you. Like we're in a surveillance state. We're in a police state already. Like there's no way to really avoid that in the current paradigm unless we just bring down the police state. That's just how you do. Somebody's saying you believe in VPNs then? I mean, I've never used a VPN because like the only way I really perceive like the use of a VPN is if I want to use content that is geo-blocked, right? Not if I really want to like escape the NSA. Right? It's like I want to use Netflix in Germany because they have this one movie that I can't get over here. Like that's kind of what I assume VPNs are used for. I don't know if you use VPNs.
You can use it. I mean, that's certainly a use for it. Yeah. I mean, there's uses for.
But like using a VPN won't stop NSA getting after you. Like if you're Gene Hackman in Enemy of the State, and all of a sudden you just use a VPN, you're not safe from the NSA.
Well, they can't track your what's it called? Your IRL? Your URL. They can't track your URL. Well, they can, but it won't lead anywhere. It's like calling from a burner cell phone. It's like, well, we don't. I can't find this. Like,
yeah, but let's say like they want to like geo track you. They want to find out where you're at. Does that matter? Like if I'm on my Mac right now, I sign into a VPN, and all of a sudden the NSA doesn't know I'm in, Long Beach, California. I don't know.
There are better libertarians than I that can answer that question. I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know. Like, I don't break laws. I don't run underground dogfighting rings or underground gambling rings. Like,
Gary, you've definitely broken the law.
Have I ever broken? I don't admit to things on air.
Statute of limitations, bro. You're good. You're good. You're safe. And honestly, in terms of like YouTube being assholes, they've been assholes lately, but I think that's due to us cussing a lot. And we curse and use profanity very early on in the show.
I don't curse.
Okay, I curse. I curse. And I saw someone that was a big YouTuber talking about not cursing the first minute. And that saves you from being demonetized. If you use like the word fuck or something like that in the first minute, boom, you get demonetized or
cursing now.
Yes.
Can't you just check the box that this is not made for kids? Like it's not intended for kids. Like is demonetizing you for cursing?
It's not full demonetization, so I want to make that very clear, right? That phrase is kind of gets thrown out a lot. Our ad revenue goes down, is what I want to say. So like, basically, how this works is that either all of your ad revenue is blocked, partial blockage due to like whatever, or not, is it really ad revenue that gets blocked, or is it what? Okay, if it deems that you are not suitable for ads, you obviously cannot create ad revenue, right? The in between of that is not blocking the revenue, is blocking what ads go to you. So like, you won't, if you are cursing and I don't know, talking about like sex work, maybe you're not gonna have Disney ads,
right? You're not gonna have preschool toys ads. Fine. I
think that's largely what it means.
Okay.
Now, has it affected the revenue per se? I don't know. I probably have to look into that. But then again, I don't think we've had enough videos be demonetized for that to be an effect. And often what happens if we do get like demonetized for a video, it's due to copyright. That's usually what happens. It's not due to us cursing. That just adds suitability changes, which is different. It's confusing. And YouTube changes this like all the time. So sorry if I don't repeat it correctly. Guys, this is gonna be it for today. We've already been on for over 2 hours. Please hit the like button, share the show, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Find us below at all these social media accounts, and have a great day. And be back. If something really cool happens tomorrow, then we will be back on tomorrow night. Most likely that will not happen though, because I don't expect like us to have like an upset of the year where like Brook wins. But if Brook wins, we're doing a media reaction show. I do want to do a General Strike podcast soon, but I'll be honest, I haven't really been feeling that well. And to do like a solo, like 3-hour show, like I usually do for those, is a little bit daunting right now. To be honest, I'm like just like mentally get through that shit. So I'm just waiting until I feel better, to be quite honest. And I know I said I was going to do a show when Joe Biden was declared the winner by the media. I haven't done one yet, so I promise I'll get to it as soon as possible. If Foo had some free time, I would be more willing to do it. So I don't have to do the whole thing myself. Anyways, have a great day, great evening. Peace.